Z Sports Prime Time, back from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. It's great to be back live and in person with you guys. It's great to be getting ready to talk about a fun weekend of college football that we'll spend some time on over the course of this evening's show. We will talk about the Tennessee Vols heading down to Gainesville this weekend, Florida week, as it were, and what we learned from Alabama and Florida in the SEC championship game rematch. We'll spend some time on the college football season as a whole, what's kind of surprised us throughout the course of these 3 weeks, and then we'll spend some time on a gone viral video having to do from the week of NFL action that I think you're really going to enjoy. Before we do that, though, I need you guys to share this show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. If you're hanging out with us on Twitter, go ahead and retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. I've just done it myself. You can do so too. If you are on Facebook Live, you can share now to public, and I'll do it on my personal Facebook page as well, where I know many of you have sent me friend requests, and I think I accept most of them. So I hope that you will share this show just as I'm getting ready to do right now. Share now to public. That's how you get involved in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you are on YouTube or on Twitch, please subscribe to the A to Z Sports channel, where you can get our live stream content 7 days a week. And now that more of you are here, we could go ahead and begin the show officially and talk about some college football from the weekend that was. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Buck Rising from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford. Since 1983, Two Rivers Ford has been getting you award-winning customer service and quality American-made Ford vehicles. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is DraftKings Sportsbook, and they've got great offers for you heading into week 3 of the NFL. Use the promo code A to Z Sports to get in on all the action in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. Your dream address without the stress is what you can get with the Ashton team, and they can help you sell for more too, if you're in the market to do so. And of course, Brymac Mechanical, satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. BRYMAK, Brymac.com. So let's talk about Charlie Arp says, I'm glad we are predicted to get dominated, says Charlie, talking about the Vols and Florida coming up this week. And listen, there's Tennessee. It's tough to learn something legitimate about the football team when your opponent is Tennessee Tech, right? And this is respectfully due to Tennessee Tech, but like, you lose if you're Tennessee Tech 56-0 to a Vols team that we all know has legitimate flaws. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the University of Tennessee. They went out and won the way that they needed to win, of course, and they deserve due credit for that. But you also have to say, okay, well, how much can you legitimately take away about how good or how capable this current squad is right now when that's the kind of opponent that you're seeing? And the underdog role is one that, I know a lot of people relish, but you're going into Florida, and Florida against Alabama in this 2020 SEC championship game rematch. I mean, it was interesting to see both what happened with Alabama and how Florida really took them up to the edge. If it was not for a missed extra point and a bad 2-point conversion call for Florida in the end zone, I would have said that Alabama, I don't think Alabama would have handled Florida well in overtime. So when you look at this, you have to be realistic about what Tennessee's chances are. Now, I appreciate the underdog role. And producer Reed and myself, we were talking about this afternoon as we were kind of trying to find different ways to look at the Tennessee Tech game and how you can try and translate some stuff heading into Gainesville this weekend. And basically, my response to that is, well, you know more about the opponent than you do about your own team, given that the SEC competition is playing out the way that it is. But there are some interesting angles to look at the University of Tennessee of right now. And for those of you asking for the line as we sit here on Tuesday evening, Florida is currently a 20-point favorite at home. They're minus 20. You can get Tennessee at plus 20 right now, I don't know if I would take Tennessee in the points. I really don't, because that defense is troublesome. I think the secondary has been a pleasant surprise, but again, the level of competition, it's not great at the moment. And so you're trying to figure out what exactly Tennessee is, and they'll get a great measure of where they are within their conference and against their rivals coming up this weekend. This is one of the most important games, if not the most important game of the Tennessee season, right? Where Alabama just looks like you're kind of going into that with low expectations. Tennessee and Florida, Tennessee and Georgia has been really competitive over the last couple of years as well, surprisingly so. But with Florida this year, this team looks pretty substantive, pretty competent, and they were without their best quarterback against Bama. So Dom Odell says the Pitt just lost to a lesser opponent, and it makes him more skeptical in Tennessee. Yeah, I think that Pittsburgh's defense is bad. Pittsburgh's defense is really bad. And Kenny Pickett, he's the quarterback for Pittsburgh. He had a great game against Tennessee. He had a great game against their opponent this weekend. And I forget off the top of my head who they did play, but they did lose. And it was because they got scored on. They just couldn't get any stops. Charlie Arp says, I've never bet on the Vols anymore. I never won a bet that I've made on the Vols. Yeah, that would be a difficult situation. We play bad every game, says David Williams. Well, I mean, there are some positives, though. So let's talk about it. You'll hear from Josh Heupel here in just a second, but let's start with your Two Rivers Ford take. What one thing should give Vols fans hope against Florida this weekend? Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And your answer may be nothing, and that's okay. Like, I'm not doing this to set you guys up for failure. I want to legitimately have a conversation about this. Clayton Smith, thank you for pointing out that Pittsburgh lost to Western Michigan. I appreciate you doing the research for us in real time. But your Two Rivers Ford take, what one thing should give Vols fans hope against the Gators on Saturday? Give me your response. We'll talk about it together. You can, your answer can be as serious or as not serious as you want it to be, because I know there's going to be some skepticism about this, but I want to have a real conversation about it as best you can, right? So you guys give me your answer. I'll tell you about Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business, and not only are the best in the business, but they provide you the best customer service of any car dealership around. Two Rivers Ford has the Built For You program, which is all about getting you the vehicle that fits your budget and your preferences. They will find you any model, any color, any customizable accessories that come with the Ford of your choice. If you don't find it on the lot when you go pay them a visit in Mount Juliet, they will get the car to you and deliver it directly to your door. That's what the Built For You program is all about at Two Rivers Ford, your satisfaction. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or start your window shopping online at tworiversford.com. So let's talk about Tennessee at this point and what positives the Vols can kind of lean on. Let's see. Western, the hope I have, says Charlie, is the unknown. Have we seen the full strength of the Vols yet? Can Milton have a game where he hits all of his passes? Well, and I know what you're saying, Charlie. You don't mean all of his passes. Like, he's not going to be 100. He's not going to have a completion percentage of 100%. It's just not feasible, right? But can he complete 65% of his passes, right? Can he have a higher completion percentage on his deep ball, where you're looking at I don't know the percentages off the top of my head, so I won't cite incorrect facts without knowing that from memory. But I would say to you that his accuracy on these deep balls and these easy completions is pretty underwhelming. Now, Hooker had some overthrows too on Saturday, so that's also important to note. But when you look at the University of Tennessee right now, I don't know what the answer to that is, Charlie. I don't know if Milton can progress, or if this is kind of who he has been throughout the course of his career and who he will be moving forward. Anthony says one thing that gives Vols fans hope is that Florida played Bama last week and won't get up for Tennessee. And that's something that producer Reed brought up before the show. Basically that Florida played a hell of a game against Bama. And really the defense was so stout, keeping Alabama down for 3 quarters, holding them down with only 1 touchdown in 3 quarters after they got off to the start that they did. Now, Bama won, right? So your best shot at Bama, it looks like an SEC team may have already taken it. And we'll see if they can continue to play competitive football games. But it does make the SEC more interesting when Bama was made just for, just for 3/4 of one football game, made to look human, right? Makes makes the season more interesting, even as Clemson's offense looks to really suck. Notre Dame did not play a good football game over the weekend. Ohio State is very, very shaky. Also on that defensive side of the ball, Bama's having troubles on defense. So I do think it opens the door a little bit for somebody like Georgia, who's in the mix, but has really never been able to get over the hump. I would say to you that is when you exhaust yourself, as Florida may have against a team like Alabama, you can have a letdown game, or you can at least play down to the level of competition. And that's, it's okay to say that. It's going to be realistic about Tennessee and to say, yeah, they are a lesser program. They're a lesser football team than the University of Florida right now. And that's okay. You can try and take advantage of the things that you can and try to maximize your opportunities that way. Now, the one thing that gives me confidence about Tennessee heading to Florida is the offense. The offense continues to scheme open guys, wide open guys down the field. It's a problem that the inaccuracy is such that the quarterbacks struggle to hit him. And by the way, Harrison Bailey was very, very, I know he had a rushing touchdown, and he was playing against 2s and 3s, and he's out there with 2s and 3s, but he was clearly quarterback 3 in this offense. So enough with the what was I going to say? Enough with the calls for Harrison Bailey as the best quarterback on the roster, because he's just simply not. I will say to you though that with positives that are to be found, the positive that I have is the offense. But Josh Heupel was asked by Austin Price of VolQuest this week whether because the plays are there to be made, does it make Josh Heupel feel any better, even though they're not hitting as many of them as they liked. And I really liked Heupel's response here.
We've had 3 straight games where you guys running wide open. You're not able to connect on some of those plays. But
you guys could see that too?
Yeah. Is it a good feeling to know that you're at least drawing up the right plays and executing part of it?
Not really. At the end of the day, it's about 11 guys playing together as one, and we're at a point where we should be able to execute those things at a higher level than we did in the first 3 games. Week 1, there's an anomaly, a little bit different structure than what we were going to see week 1 in our offense. Week 2 just didn't connect the way that we're capable of. We got to grow out of that, and you guys have heard me say it. Our players have too. We're in a race against ourselves to get them as good as we can, as fast as we can. We got to get better quickly. Big opponent, as far as the test next week down in Gainesville.
So that's Josh Heupel talking about his offense, and that's the thing that kind of gives me confidence. But again, he's got to be able to hit those plays, or his quarterbacks have to be able to execute. I'll say to you, more than anything, that is the thing that gives me the most faith in Tennessee being able to at least play up to the opponent and to put themselves on somewhat of a level playing field, because they are going to be outgunned. They have the talent is not there the way that it is for Florida. Florida is in a much better situation, certainly on the defensive side of the ball, and looked to have some depth at quarterback that gave Alabama a scare. And it wasn't even Alabama's quarterbacking that really put it to them. It's a running game. Florida did what they want to Alabama up front, which was pretty shocking to anybody who's watched SEC football in the last couple of years. I don't think the Vols will get the same level of play that Florida gave Bama, says Cody Branch, and that's possible. Stacy Wills says, hoping that the defense is better this week. The GOAT CJ2K says, Buck, as I was leaving the hotel to head to the airport, I saw you, and man, you're very tall. Well, one, why didn't you say hi, weirdo? Don't just stare at me from afar. Like, I see you in here enough. You can, and a lot of people did come up to me in Seattle, which was really cool. And I always appreciate meeting you guys and seeing you out, even if it's in the middle of the night at the airport. It was funny. We landed last night. I took a late flight out of Seattle, direct, thank God, but it was 4 hours, 4 minutes, and I landed a little after midnight. Got home about 12:30, I would say. And as we were coming off the airplane in Nashville, we were deboarding the plane, and we walked out, and there was a guy standing there by the gate greeting us and saying, welcome to Nashville, commented on a lot of the Titans attire, because a lot of people decked out in Titans gear. And then I said, hey, thank you. And he goes, oh, I recognize that voice. And it made me very happy. So I really enjoy seeing you guys. So yeah, don't be a weirdo. Don't just look from afar. If you see me, come say hi or something like that. It cracks me up. I had to catch my flight. Says the coach CJ2K. All right, I hear you. The Titans magic needs to be with the Vols on Saturday, says Mark Jones. Yeah, we will see. I mean, the Titans had some magic in the second half, but University of Tennessee doesn't have anybody like Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Julio Jones, or Christian Fulton on the defensive side of the ball, because that really carried them against Seattle. I feel pretty good about the offense. It's the talent that I'm concerned about, and something else that kind of popped up to me and has popped up in these 3 weeks so far, and we'll talk about that here in just a second, right after I tell you about our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. America's top-rated sportsbook app is DraftKings Sportsbook, and it's been a great start to the NFL season, but it's only going to get better at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is kicking off another week of action by giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. Same-game parlays allow you to combine multiple bets for a bigger payout this week. Place a same-game parlay on any NFL game, and you will be credited up to $25 if your bet loses. Simply download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code A2ZSports to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you bet $1 on any football game. That's promo code A2ZSports to get $150 in free bets instantly this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So, I will say to you that for me, the thing that kind of popped up is the wide receivers. Jalen Hyatt was notably absent not absent. He was out on the field, but he didn't do anything. Velus Jones had a good game, I thought, but the wide receiver talent, it's not materializing the way that I was expecting it to. Now, Jimmy Callaway seems to have some promise, and the tight end position seems to be gaining traction, which is, as a Tennessee fan, I know has been something that's been missing for a while. So you're looking to get that position involved. But I would say to you that that for me, ultimately, I've been unimpressed with the performance by the Vols wide receivers, and that was a position that I thought was going to be a lot better. Let's see. Off topic, Ali special on PBS is hurting our viewership tonight, says Lewis. Oh, I'd love to watch that. I'll have to check that out after the fact. PBS always has such good documentaries. That's the oldest thing I've ever said in my life. Mark Jones. David Williams says, did you like flying Frontier? I didn't fly Frontier. I fly Delta more as many times as I can. Anthony says Frontier is the worst. Well, I've never flown Frontier, but Delta. I was able to watch the Titans game back on Game Pass because their Wi-Fi was great. And I had the Dish TV set up so I could watch Monday Night Football on the 4-hour flight, and it was really, really good. Let's talk about the college football season so far, though. What has surprised you through 3 weeks of college football? Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll talk about it together, and we'll spend some time on this over the course of this evening's show. Right after I tell you about, actually, the question that I want to ask you is this. What has surprised you through these 3 weeks of college football? What has most surprised you through these 3 weeks of college football? Give me your answer on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll talk about it together right after I tell you about the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. Gary Ashton is where you go for your dream address without the stress. Gary Ashton will have, he's the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans, and the Gary Ashton tailgate before the Colts game will be out there at 10 a.m. Luke Worsham will be there. I'll stop by. I want to see a lot of you guys. We saw a lot of you guys come by, and you can play cornhole. You can hang out. There's always music. Gary puts on a great time at Gary Ashton tailgate, just right off the pedestrian bridge in front of the south end zone. So come hang out at the Gary Ashton tailgate, the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans. So to that end, what has surprised you the most through 3 weeks of the college football season? Let us know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. How fast USC fired their coach, says David Williams. That's not surprising. What's surprising is that Clay Helton held on that long. I mean, he was here for a minute. And he seemed always to be in jeopardy of losing his job. He's always been kind of uninspiring. He was an uninspiring interim hire. And more than anything, I was shocked to see that he held on as long as he did. Rob Wright says Ohio State losing to Oregon. And I'll say yes, because that was at Ohio State. That was at the Horseshoe. And that was a really shocking result. But for as bad as that Ohio State defense is, I mean, it was not surprising that Oregon out-physicaled them, out-toughed them, beat them up at the line of scrimmage and really pushed them around. To see them lose at home is uncommon, but it's not surprising when you consider that Ohio State's defense clearly appears to be a shell of what it normally is. The Arkansas Razorbacks are ranked 16th. They came a long way, says Stacy Wills. Yeah, Arkansas and A&M this weekend is going to be a fun game. It's at Jerry World. Both teams are ranked. A&M is 7th, and Arkansas is 16th. Sam Pittman has done such a great job with that program. And, of course, Vols fans have a soft spot in their hearts for Sam Pittman. So what has been the GOAT's CJ2K says the fact that LSU is still ass. Yeah, LSU has been really underwhelming. But for me, what's been most surprising so far through these first couple of weeks of college football is Alabama's defensive performance, because they looked super mortal on Saturday against Florida. I know Florida's tough, but it was interesting to see Nick Saban talk about it after the game.
What concerned me most was that we could not sustain our intensity, especially on defense. We had a lot of mental errors, and they did a good job. They did a really good job, had a good plan. And, when you're playing the option and, everybody's got to be disciplined. Somebody's got the quarterback, somebody's got the pitch. And because we weren't doing that correctly, I think we were afraid to do a lot of other things that we had planned in the game. But we didn't get off the field on third down either. We had several opportunities, especially in the fourth quarter, to get off the field on third down where we created long yardage situations. When they went 99 yards for a touchdown, we got them backed up on the 1 yard line. We got them third down. We got to get off the field. Another situation where it was 3rd and 18, they complete a pass for 16 yards and go for it on fourth down and convert. So got to get off the field on third down. So all in all, it was just our execution on defense and the fact that we didn't get off the field on third down.
I joked this morning on the radio show, because we played that clip on radio too, and I was laughing. I was saying, did I just listen to a Nick Saban press conference, or was that Mike Vrabel and Shane Bowen talking about a Titans defensive performance? Third down, Alabama was bad. Third and long, they were so shockingly bad. They were really handling themselves in a way that you're unaccustomed to seeing from a Nick Saban defense. So to see that more now that may be the only mortal moment we get from Alabama all year, and they may just roll, no pun intended, throughout the course of the rest of their schedule. But I think that there are some things there, and Tennessee, of course, will play Alabama, and I know Vols fans have looked forward to that game less and less as the years have gone by. But it does make it more interesting, because the Vols have an offense if they can be efficient with it. The efficiency has eluded them thus far. The execution has eluded them thus far. It will be interesting to see if those things that reared up against Florida for Alabama continue to be able to be exploited by their opponents throughout the rest of their SEC play. What most surprised you about this college football season? Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC, says Mark Jones. Well, that's a little larger scale. I'm talking about on the field of play right now. Jeff Sawyer on Facebook says, tell Saban to hire Jeremy Pruitt back as his defensive coordinator. Yeah. What's the defensive coordinator's name for Alabama? Is it Pete Golden? Pete Golden sounds right. I'm pretty sure I have that written down. I will double check my notes on that, because Dan Mullen just absolutely exposed Pete Golden. Dan Mullen versus Pete Golden on Saturday at the Swamp was a pretty impressive coaching job by Dan Mullen, who of course runs that offense and was playing again with their backup quarterback. I thought that was a very, 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 very impressive performance by Florida. We'll see whether that taxes them at all heading into a week where against Tennessee. Now, I would say, I would caution you not to get your hopes up because Florida looked really good, and Tennessee has been underwhelming, even though, coming off a 56-0 win. Pruitt won't be in college for very long, says Dennis Massey. Well, Jeremy Pruitt's not even in college football right now. He's in the NFL. He's a defensive assistant for the New York Giants, which I found laugh out loud funny because their defense has been wildly undisciplined. Even though Logan Ryan I like as a player, Adoree Jackson, who continues to shock me every time I see him on the Giants. Anyway, it's just funny to see that Jeremy Pruitt and Derek Dooley are both with the New York Giants, and I did not think that either of them would land in New York City. Maybe I'll see them when the Titans go to Week 4 to play the Jets. Anyway, let's wrap up tonight's show with a gone viral video, as is our Tuesday custom. The question that I want to ask you guys on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, where you're hanging out with us, is what is the worst personal item to lose on the football field? Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, as I just mentioned. We'll talk about it together. What is the worst personal item to lose on the football field? Earrings, jewelry, necklaces. I don't know why I remember Odell Beckham against the Titans a couple of years ago wearing like a really, really expensive watch that seemed to me to be a bit idiotic, and I think he got fined for it. It's just, that kind of stuff doesn't make sense. What's the worst personal item to lose on a football field? Let me know. We'll talk about it together shortly, right after I remind you about Brymac Mechanical. Satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs is what Brymac Mechanical promises you. They will put you in your comfort zone. They have 3 locations to do so. In Clarksville is their main hub, and of course in Tennessee and Kentucky as well. Make sure that they're surveying a wide area. BRYMAK, Brymac.com. So what's the worst personal item? Excuse me. That's the second time I've sneezed on the show. I was fighting that one back, and I'm glad I got through the Brymac creed because I felt it right on the front of my face. That's the worst. So that's how you always know that this show is live. If I ever like cough or sneeze or like choke on a sip of water or something like that, makes me laugh. Anyway, what's the worst personalized item to lose on a football field? Brad Lifford says your soul. Mark Jones says your consciousness. The GOAT CJ2K says the wedding ring. Karen O'Keefe says earrings. Karen also says bless you. Thank you very much, Karen. You're very kind. No, to me, it's what happened to Aaron Jones on Monday Night Football. I don't know how many people saw this, but Aaron Jones on Monday Night Football, his father passed away fairly recently. It was pretty tragic, and he had a necklace, it seems, made in his father's honor, and in the necklace is a little football. So it's a chain with a little football on the end of it, and in the little football apparently is Aaron Jones' dad's ashes, which however you want to commemorate and celebrate the life of your father, of course you're welcome to it, but to wear that to football game, and I know he had a great game, right? He scored 4 total touchdowns. He had a great night. But that would be problematic, especially given that he lost it in the end zone. Now, it was found today, but at the time of this interview, after the Monday Night Football game, Aaron Jones had still not recovered his dead father's ashes on a necklace.
Aaron, I know that this is your first game here at Lambeau without your dad. Just how much was he on your heart tonight?
He was really on my heart. I actually have a chain with a football, and his ashes are in it. I scored, and it fell off in the end zone, so I'll go look for it, but I know he's happy. He'd be happy. He was like, if you lose it anywhere, lose it in the end zone. So.
You haven't found it?
I haven't. The grounds crew was looking for it.
The grounds crew was looking for it, he says. Aaron Jones, and he did get it back. Some guy tweeted it at like 2 a.m. in the morning, or I think Aaron Jones tweeted it that this was found at like 2 a.m. in the morning. They were still out there on the field searching for it. It was really it's a cool thing. I just think that, I just think to wear that on the football field, it's clearly good karma for him, good juju, but that would not be the way that I would handle it. But more power to Aaron Jones and a great performance by the Green Bay Packers last night. That's going to do it for us this evening. The primetime show, always enjoy being back with you guys. It's even though the weather has been wretched here in Nashville. There will be a 615 Sessions podcast in your feed this week. Make sure that you're looking for that on the A to Z Sports Podcast Network. The Install with Greg Cosell will come out tomorrow Also, and we will talk about the Titans, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Colts, given that the Colts are now down 0-2, and that when maybe without Carson Wentz. We will also spend some time on the biggest matchups of Week 3 in the NFL, with the Rams facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in what is certain to be a great game, and many other things. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope that you guys are staying dry. I hope that we don't lose power, but it's a good thing because the show's over. I'm not quite tired yet. And there's by the way, all kinds of great articles up at A2ZSportsNashville.com. Wrote about Derrick Henry for this morning. You could read that at A2ZSports.com. We'll see you guys.